Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. JC here with another video on Action Taimanin. Today we're finally going to check Rin's seasonal set, but before we start don't forget to leave a like, share and subscribe if you enjoy the content. So, this seasonal set is actually pretty good. I wouldn't call it busted, but it does fix some flaws from her blue build, and that's why we're gonna check it, because it's actually pretty useful. So, first of all, if you want to grab the fourth copy of this set, you're gonna need to buy the pack, which is a little bit unfortunate, but I mean, for the skin, I guess it's kinda worth it, kinda. Depends on if you're willing or not to pay this amount, because these are pricey, yeah. Now, let's check the supporter and the weapon. The supporter says, melee attacks on electrocuted enemies have a 50% chance to break their super armor every 15 seconds. Honestly, even at one copy, this effect is going to be pretty strong, the super armor break, because of the amount of multi-hits that Ring has. It doesn't really matter that much that is a 50. But the other one increases damage dealt by 7% up to 14% for each human type and demon type ally, including yourself. So that's going to be extremely useful for team building when you use a team of humans, and one of your character is going to be using a blue build. So this gives you, let's see, 14, 28, 28, 42, like 42% damage increase if you have either humans or demons. Correct me if I'm wrong, maybe I did the math wrong, but it seems fine for the most part. Yeah, let's see, 21, double, 42, yeah. Let's see. So, a 100% chance to break the super armor and a considerable damage increase are really worth it. The bad thing about this set is that you also need to use Demonite and Nanomachines to have these 5 out of 5. On the other hand, we have an extra passive here that says, generate static electricity every 5 seconds, dealing damage equal to 80% of attack to nearby enemies and reducing their fortitude by 15% for 3 seconds. If the enemy has some amount of fortitude, honestly, that's not a really important mechanic for the most part. The enemies don't have too much fortitude, as far as I know, but, well, it is okay. Perhaps they'll add fortitude in the future. Now, let's see. The active creates an electric field that deals damage equal to 680% of attack up to 360% of attack as continuous damage for 5 seconds. Enemies hit by the field are inflicted with electrocute for 9 seconds. So the duration is nice. It is pretty useful. The AoE of this skill is kinda, I think it's bigger than the maximum range of our blue skill. The blue skill is the one that gets buff on the AoE. So, well, it has a very big range, and you're gonna inflict a good amount of damage to the enemies. Now, for the weapon, gradually increases the attack range of Electric Volt. Damage increases by 30% up to 60%, and increases critical rate of self by 25% up to 50%. So, unfortunately, the damage increase is only for Electric Volt, and I'm going to show you that just in a moment. So, very quickly, let's go to Rin so that we can check her. So, regardless of my equipment, let's see how much damage I deal with this weapon that is 4 out of 5. Okay? So, I go over here and let's look at the basics. 47, 43, 45. Okay, they deal a good amount of damage. Now, let's do Electric Volt. Almost a million, around a million damage, okay? Per hit. And the last one that we're gonna do is one hit and around 400. Yeah, 400 per hit on that skill. Now, we're just going to change the weapon so that you can see that the only skill benefit by this is where is the other one? Here. Is the blue one. So I put water yellow and I equip all of this. Nice. And then I put UR red and I auto equip, and there we have it. So the damage should be exactly the same except for the blue skill. That is going to be less. So around 400 per hit, around 40, 47, 45 per hit, and this one, yeah, a little bit above 500,000, like 600,000, 700,000 at most. So yeah, the only skill, the only thing that benefits from the damage increase is going to be the blue skill. Now you know it. But the critical rate is actually pretty good. Honestly, basically this weapon guarantees that you crit, so that's nice. You can use critical blue builds, but I mean, what options do we have for critical blue other than Anne Rose? Well, maybe the Founding Three, of course, but there's a handful of other critical supporters in blue, but they are kind of niche because of the specifics, like the range duo, you know, Kaito and Reina. So, anyways, let's go over tower, over here, to floor 100 to see what Rin is capable of doing with this build. First of all, we have the weapon 4 out of 5 and plus 15, and a weapon 5 out of 5 plus 15, whatever weapon. For Magatemas, critical damage increase Magatemas with water element, whatever Magatemas on the subslot to increase its stats. Then we have Electric Volt, Volt Rush, and Volt Spin. Since blue doesn't give a damage increase, it only gives the speed increase. I don't really want to use Denki. I don't like using Swallow because it is a follow-up attack and I don't like those, personally. Volt Hook is pretty good, but I don't need that kind of effect. And let's see, is there something else? Oh yeah, a launching attack we don't use. I don't need the basic enhancer. The other ones are pure color. And Volt Spin, we do use Volt Spin because on blue it electrocutes. So basically, with this skill, I'm going to be able to abuse the super armor break, not only the active. In case you use the supporter on a teammate and you have Rin, you can use any color to inflict electrocute, so that you're able to break super armor constantly. So don't worry about that part. Then, for supporters, we have Massacre Crew 9 to become tankier, to heal, to gain a ton of damage. I mean, Rin is very, very frail, and that's why we want to use this supporter. Because on blue, she doesn't have HP recovery. Green is the color for HP recovery. Obviously, Anna Rose, because we have the critical rate increase thanks to the weapon. And Asusa. Honestly, I just added Asusa just cause. The reason being that there are not many blue options for generic damage increase for this particular character. Rin is red, so I couldn't find anything that was good enough. And I'm not using the supporter over here because I want the region on solo content. That's why we're not gonna use this one. And besides, it's not that great on solo content. Remember, it only gives you like 12% damage increase. That's pretty low. So, anyways, stats of the customs, stat training, and now let's do a run. You're gonna see that this is extremely easy for the most part. It does have a decent amount of damage. I just do this, and the thing is, at the very beginning, this has a very small AoE, but it increases to a huge amount. So I really like what they did. So I use my AoE. And look at the damage. It is just so strong. Yep. Pretty easy. It is this skill was unimpressive because the AoE was small. And they make it, I don't know if it's a little bit smaller than it used to be with this weapon, but it increases to such an extent that it is devastating. I honestly love what they did to this skill. Would I say that this fixes the skill? Kinda. The damage increase is appreciated, and the bigger AoE is very, very useful. I just need to... come on, get closer! No! You evil, evil thingy. There, just like that. Perfect. Yeah. The pull effect is also pretty useful. I gotta admit, it is nice because you deal... since it's a pure color skill, you're gonna deal a big amount of damage. Then you break the super armor. And then you pull the enemy just for the finishing blow. It is nice. It is nice. Now, since I don't care about this wave, I'm just going to eliminate it with the ulti so that I can face the other wave. That's the important one. Now, I want to use this right away because I have to deal with the mobs ASAP. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful. And I use the skill and I attack and... Done! It's done! That was pretty fast, yeah. Rin is extremely good with this set. The weapon is amazing and the supporter is also amazing. Would I say busted? No, not really. It just enhances the damage of the blue build and the range. Oh, the range extension is so good. About the supporter, it is also pretty decent. The armor break is niche-ish because you need to electrocute the enemy, and there's only 2 characters in the game who can electrocute the enemy. There's maybe 1 or 2 supporters who can electrocute the enemy. So yeah, that makes this somewhat niche to break the super armor. But for generic damage increase, for a pure human team, it is really, really nice. I mean, it's a great option. And besides, you can pair it with a Phantom Shiranui for a blue build. Now, let's go to BR. We're gonna do thank you. I wanted to go higher, but I haven't had the time to go higher on the steps. So, we're gonna use this one, yeah. I decided to go hyper offensive, and basically my team is just 2 supporters that are going to increase my damage tremendously. Let's check the supporters first, and then we check Rin. So, for supporters, I'm using Shizuru. She's gonna have the Eye of Dawn to buff the party with Rose Rondo. Whatever attack Magatamas, I mean, obviously attack Magatamas anti-machine, water element, whatever Magatamas on the subslot, whatever weapon on the subslot, both 5 out of 5, and this one plus 15, and this other one plus 14. As for skills, Rose Rondo to debuff the enemy and buff the party, Whip Shot to debuff the enemy, and Sprout Guarding because I have a bunch of characters who could die with a bad hit, so I need the healing. But at the same time, this is so aggressive that I haven't needed the healing. I haven't had the need. So, in any case, I have Shizuru over here so that the buff lasts longer. But I could change this for another one, like, let's say, Gal Lilin. Gal Lilin is a great option. We also use Momochinagi. Similar to Gal Lilin, you want to equip these so that you have damage increase, but at the same time, damage reduction so that you become tankier. And Susune over here to increase damage, but at the same time, ensnare the enemy and heal Shizuru in case of an emergency. It's really useful to have these options. Stats of the customs, stat training. Let's go with, obviously, Tokiko. So Tokiko over here is gonna use Mechanical Dart Knife because that's the best weapon for Tokiko as a supporter. Whatever Magatamas. Okay, it's anti-machine whatever Magatamas because they only activate one effect or half an effect. Then whatever weapon with whatever attack Magatamas. Both 5 out of 5 and both plus 15. As for the skills, the Taimanin art so that I'm able, well, Taimanin Magpipe so that I become a ranged attacker, Clairvoyance to reduce the defense of the enemy, and Blast to reduce the defense of the enemy even further. So that we just delete everything. For supporters, Misaki so that I have healing and a huge damage increase. Lina so that I have some amount of penetration. And lastly, Lan to abuse my skills. Because as a supporter, I'm not going to deal that much damage, so the skill cooldown reduction is appreciated. Even though, if I'm not mistaken, I'm using a basic enhancer, that's not great. And these ones don't have the longest cooldown, but reducing it by half is going to be pretty effective. Because if you have Lan and your skill training, you're going to have like 50% skill cooldown reduction. Now, stats of the costumes, stat training, and let's check now the star of the show, Rin. So Rin is going to be using, obviously, the weapon with anti-machine Thunder Magatamas, whatever weapon on the subslot, whatever Magatamas on the subslot. Electric Volt, Bolt Rush, Bolt Spin, again, the same build. And this time we do use Rin, because I have healers on my team and I don't have to worry about it, about the HP issue. Also, I'm going to be able to abuse the Super Armor Break. It is really useful. Since I have such a huge critical rate thanks to the weapon, I can just equip Ana Rose. Besides, she also compensates in case I don't crit. And Arabella just to eliminate the enemies. In fact, I'm going to change Arabella because there are mobs and this one gives me a bigger damage increase. So with that, it's gonna be really easy. Oh yeah, the formations. I decided to go with these ones. They give me a ton of penetration, basically to ignore the enemy's damage reduction. It's penetration against machines 6%, penetration of range attacks 10%, and penetration of surprise type characters another 10%. That's 26% penetration on my pure color skill. That's great. Part of the damage is melee, but another part is gonna be range, so might as well, right? And there I have the 3 stacks of my buff. I just break the super armor with Volt Spin, and then I deal a massive amount of damage, and done. It is done. Super important, wait for the animations when you are using the supporter. You want to let the timer run so that the cooldown is reduced for your active. Look, can we break this? No, we are not able to break the super armor. Yeah, we are able to break the super armor. And now we use the active of the supporter. And it's done. God, it is so strong for VR. Yeah, not against every enemy. Particularly, I would say Worm Knight is not the greatest enemy to use this skill, this build, because the stage is big and she runs a lot. Well, Taimanin, Master Taimanin has similar problems because she is a fast attacker and she moves a lot. The stage is way smaller, so you can actually abuse this attack. I mean, Electric Bolt is very good. So let's just finish by analyzing if this was good, this was bad. Should you buy the pack? Well, the pack is always about the skin, guys. If you like the skin, do buy it, okay? Right now, mobile players, Android players, don't have this pack available. So you'll have to purchase it on Steam or on an iOS device. No, not iOS, or well, was it? on an Apple device, you know. So yeah, that's a thing. But my opinion about the set itself, well, it is pretty strong. Not busted, but versatile. It synergizes well with the party white supporters that we have for human teams. Like, let's go with blue and let's go with UR. Like, where are they? Phantom Shiranui and Asusa. It's excellent that it pairs well with that. Also, Mirabel, even though it's not for human teams, I mean, this massive 40% buff is appreciated in any kind of composition. So yeah, it is great, and the weapon is nothing to scoff at. I hope that you were able to get all the F2P copies. If you can buy this now because it's unavailable, because you don't have the money, don't worry, these things rerun. But the campaign to get the copies of the supporter and weapon do not rerun. So if you're missing a couple copies and you can grab them, do so. And that's about it for today. I hope you find this useful. Let me know in the comments what you think about this supporter, this set, this weapon, everything. And I'll be seeing you next time. Bye.